Just imagine a prison where inmates play a game of death among themselves. In this prison, a dangerous race is held, and whoever wins this race is set free from the prison. Now, to know the full story, stay with the video till the end. It's the year 2012. America's economy is falling day by day. Unemployment and crime rates are rising across the country. Looking at these worsening conditions, the government handed over all prisons to private companies, and these companies use these prisons for their own profit. One such prison is called Terminal Island, where inmates are made to compete in a deadly race called Death Race. The prison company even live telecasts this race, and it is quite popular across America. One day, a race is going on in this prison. Only 2 cars are left in the race now. One car is being driven by Frankenstein and his navigator Case, and the other by a racer named Joe. Frankenstein's car was ahead in the race, but suddenly all his weapons stopped working. On the other side, Joe kept firing bullets at Frank's car, and it could explode at any moment. Seeing this, Frank told Case to get out of the car. She exited with the help of a parachute. Just then, Joe launched another attack on Frank's car, and it exploded right there. In the next scene, we see a man named Jensen who works at a factory. After finishing work, Jensen returned home, greeted his wife, and went to see his little daughter. As soon as Jensen went upstairs, a masked man entered his house and killed his wife. When Jensen came down, he saw his wife's dead body. Before he could do anything, the man knocked him unconscious and placed a knife in his hand. After that, the killer signaled to Jensen and left. A few hours later, when Jensen woke up, the police had already arrived at his house. The police arrested him for his wife's murder. 6 months later, Jensen was brought to Terminal Island, and a guard gave him a rough welcome. The next day, while Jensen was having his breakfast, some goons came to him and started troubling him. They even spat in his food and spoke ill about his wife. Hearing all this, Jensen got angry and beat them all up. But then, the prison guards arrived and stopped the fight. After this, Jensen was taken to the prison's warden, whose name was Hennessy. When Hennessy saw Jensen's file, she discovered that Jensen was a brilliant car racer. Knowing this, she offered him to become the new Frankenstein, because the real Frank had died in the last race explosion, and no one knew about it yet. The warden explains that people all over America loved Frankenstein, and he alone had taken the show's TRP to the skies. Now, since Frank is dead, there hasn't been a single race in the last 6 months, and because of that, the show's TRP is dropping every day. The good thing is, Frank always wore a mask, so if the man behind the mask changes, no one will ever find out. Now, the race rule says that any inmate who wins 5 races in a row will be set free. Frank had already won 4 races, and if Jensen wins 1 more, his sentence will be forgiven. This was a great offer, but still Jensen refused. He told the warden that he won't risk his life for this dirty game. The warden replied that he's not doing it for her, but for his daughter. She reminded him that he killed his wife and now must spend many years in prison. When he finally gets out, his daughter might not even recognize him. Now Jensen had no other option, and thinking about his daughter, he accepted the offer to become Frankenstein. After this, Jensen was introduced to Coach and his team, the people who repaired and modified Frank's car. In short, they were Frankenstein's racing team. Every racer has their own team that prepares their car for racing. Meanwhile, there was also a secret workshop where Hennessy's people were building something special. Only List knew what was going on behind that curtain. Now only Coach and his team knew that Frank was dead and Jensen was the new Frankenstein. Coach showed Jensen his car, which was loaded with modern and dangerous weapons. But these weapons were only activated on race day, so no inmate could try to escape using them. Anyway, escaping this prison was nearly impossible. This prison was built in the middle of the ocean, and the only way out was through a narrow bridge. But even if someone tried to escape, police vehicles and helicopters would catch them midway. Coach then told Jensen all the race rules. The race was divided into 3 stages. In the first stage, he had to eliminate as many racers as possible. In the last stage, he had to drive the fastest and cross the finish line. Coach then took Jensen to the prison's backyard and started telling him about the other racers. Just then, Joe came up to Coach and said that even if Frankenstein survived the last race, this time, he would definitely kill him. While this conversation was going on, Jensen noticed some inmates with tracking devices on their hands. That's when he remembered that the man who killed his wife also had the same device on his hand. This meant that one of these inmates was the killer. Days passed, and finally the race day arrived. On race day, Jensen was given Frankenstein's mask and clothes, and he came out as Frankenstein. With Frank's return, Death Race became popular again, and the number of viewers on the live stream started increasing. When Jensen reached the track, Coach told him he couldn't talk to other drivers, because the real Frankenstein never did. Coach also said that if he wanted, he could remove his mask because the car's windows were tinted and no one could see inside. Even his navigator knew the whole truth. Soon the race began. Everyone tried to get ahead of each other. They bumped into each other's cars, trying to take them out of the race. Here, Case told Jensen about a shortcut that helped him take the lead. Then Hennessy started the attack and defense round. With this rule activated, 3 types of symbols appeared on the track. Case told Jensen that if he drove over the sword symbol, his car's weapons would be activated. If he drove over the shield symbol, the smoke bomb and oil leak system would activate, which he could use for defense. But if he mistakenly drove over the skull symbol, his car would get crushed badly. As soon as this rule was implemented, massive firing began on the track. Jensen also chose the sword symbol and activated his weapons, but suddenly his weapons jammed and he couldn't fire. Case stepped out of the car to fix the weapon. Seeing Seeing this, everyone started firing at her, but Jensen somehow managed to save her. Since Jensen was in the lead, Joe began firing heavily at him. Jensen tried firing back, but his weapons stopped working again. Coach was shocked to see this because the same problem had happened with the real Frankenstein's car, and that's how he died. Joe kept firing non-stop, and now Jensen's car started getting damaged. Suddenly, another driver rammed into Joe's car, and in the fight between them, Jensen managed to escape. But just then, another car came close, driven by a man named Pachenko. Pachenko made the same gesture that the killer of Jensen's wife had made. Now it was clear that Pachenko was the killer. Seeing this distracted Jensen, and Joe bumped into his car and overtook him, crossing the finish line. At the end of the race, only 6 cars were left. Joe was in first place and Jensen in the last. After the race, Jensen went to Hennessy and said he wouldn't race anymore because now he knew who killed his wife and also that he was tricked into this prison just so they could get a new Frankenstein for the death race. But Hennessy didn't care. Instead, she threatened him that if he left the race, he might never see his daughter again. Now Jensen was forced to race again. That night, while fixing his car, Jensen saw Pachenko and followed him. Suddenly, Pachenko's team attacked Jensen and captured him. Pachenko beat him up and was about to crush his head when one of Jensen's teammates injected something into Pachenko's neck. Taking advantage of the moment, Jensen attacked them and beat them up like dogs. He beat up Pachenko badly too. Finally, Pachenko confessed that he killed Jensen's wife on Hennessy's orders. Jensen was about to kill him, but the guards arrived and stopped the fight. The next day, the next stage of the race began. At the start, Pachenko again made the same gesture and tried to provoke Jensen, but this time, Jensen stayed calm. When the race started, he drove slowly and asked Case if she was the one who disabled the weapons in Frank's car because the weapons had failed twice now. When Jensen threatened to throw her out of the moving car, Case admitted that Hennessy had told her to disable the weapons so that Frank would lose and stay in jail, keeping the TRP of the show high. Now that Jensen understood everything, he drove at full speed, reached Pachenko, and started ramming into his car. Then he selected the sword symbol and all his weapons activated. Since Pachenko was behind him, he reversed the car and began firing heavily at him. After some shooting, he turned the car forward and released smoke, blinding Pachenko. His car crashed. Jensen stopped, came out wearing Frank's mask, reached Pachenko, broke his neck, and avenged his wife's death. Now Hennessy played her move. She brought out the special thing they were preparing for months. A giant tank-like truck, loaded with modern and deadly weapons. As soon as this truck entered the race, it destroyed several cars, knocking all other drivers out one by one. Now only Jensen and Joe were left. Jensen realized he couldn't defeat the massive truck alone, so he contacted Joe via walkie-talkie. Joe agreed to team up. Together they began attacking the truck, but their small attacks did nothing. Then they made a plan and drove over the skull symbol. A wall came down in front of the truck and it crashed. Thus the second stage of the race ended. That evening, while Jensen was fixing his car, Joe came and said, "Your voice sounds a lot like the Frank I talked to today." This meant Joe now knew that Jensen was not the real Frank, but Joe didn't ask for answers and walked away silently. Meanwhile, Hennessy decided to kill Jensen. She placed a bomb in Jensen's car to kill him during the race. But Jensen had realized by now that no one ever won the death race and got out alive. Hennessy would never let him win either, so he told his team to fill the reserve tank of the car with fuel. What he would do with this fuel would be revealed later. Next day, when Jensen was getting ready, Hennessy came and handed him his release papers, saying that even if he won, he should keep racing as Frankenstein. Jensen didn't respond and walked away. When he reached the car, Case told him Hennessy had asked her to make sure he didn't win the race. But Jensen didn't care and sped off at full speed as the race began. But now Hennessy showed her true colors again and activated only Joe's weapons. Joe kept firing like crazy while Jensen dodged the attacks. Then Joe activated his rocket launcher and fired at Jensen's car. But the rocket hit a wall instead, breaking it. Both of them escaped through the broken wall. This was their plan, to break the prison wall and escape. Hennessy got furious and activated the bomb in Jensen's car. But it was useless because Coach and his team had already removed the bomb. Seeing this, she sent all police vehicles and helicopters after them. Then Jensen leaked the fuel from the reserve tank, causing a huge explosion that stopped all police vehicles. They finally crossed the bridge and took separate paths. Now all helicopters chased Jensen because he was more important to catch. Here Case decided to help Jensen because Hennessy had given her release papers too. She took the driver's seat and Jensen jumped out of the car and hid in the dark. Case drove away from Jensen. Jensen and Joe boarded a train and escaped. Helicopters caused a big explosion, forcing Case to stop her car. But by then, she had worn Frank's mask and clothes. She got out and surrendered. Hennessy thought they had caught Jensen, but behind the mask was Case. They were celebrating when suddenly a gift arrived. When they opened it, it was the same bomb Hennessy had planted in Jensen's car, and the gift was from Coach. He pressed the button, and Hennessy was blown up. Days passed, and now Jensen and Joe opened their own garage. Jensen got his daughter back, and they were all very happy. Sometime later, Case was released from jail too, and she came to meet them in her new car. And with that, this amazing movie came to an end. If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Until then, be safe and keep chilling.